Welcome to the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians. My name is Erwin Szeto, four-time Realtor of the Year in Ontario, 20-year landlord who formerly had an 8-figure portfolio. Why formerly? Because I'm currently selling Ontario to buy somewhere landlord-friendly for value and positive cash flow. Personally, Cherry, my accountant wife, and I want our side hustle to be less effort and less risk. Hence, on this show, I bring you the strategies, stories, and experts to help you build wealth, avoid costly mistakes, and reach financial freedom faster. In Canada, in US, or the beyond. Let's get started. Today my guest is a man who went from accidental landlord to accidental hero for thousands of small landlords across Ontario. He is the co-founder of SOLO.ca. SOLO stands for Small Ownership Landlords of Ontario. They are a non-profit that's basically the Avengers for landlords. Minus the capes. Actually, not many Avengers have capes. Anyways, I'm wearing my Captain America hat. Anyways, but definitely with heroic effort. He's the guy behind the toll-free number that landlords call when they're stuck, stressed, or wondering if they've accidentally signed up for Landlord Survivor, Ontario edition. Maybe Hunger Games is more appropriate. Anyways, he's met with the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Housing, and probably has more face time with Queen's Park than most elected officials. Definitely more than pretty much every landlord that I know personally. Except for the big folks, we've had some of them on the show. Anyways, he's organized eviction parties. Yes, that's a thing. Built fraud support teams and created a community where landlords can finally say, I'm not alone and I'm not crazy. I'm somewhere I can finally get help. Now, if you're listening to this show, you know my agenda. I've been here helping hardworking Canadians invest where the numbers make sense, and when they no longer make sense somewhere, you have to go somewhere else, where the cash flow is real, the laws are fair, and landlords aren't treated like villains. That's why I've been waving the flag, waving the white flag here in Ontario, even as a licensed Ontario realtor, and I've been directing my clients to buy in landlord-friendly U.S. states through a company called Share, which I'm a partner with. And speaking of community, save the date. Cherry and I are co-hosting an in-person meetup at our Oakville offices on Saturday morning, September 27th, 2025. Seating is extremely limited. My events sell out by themselves, and I'm collaborating with my wife Cherry, and so her following and number of clients is significantly larger than mine. So the seats will sell out for the in-person absolutely quickly. So block off your calendar right now. We'll be talking about wills and estate planning, financial planning, protecting your future, all those sorts of things, because why else would we be investing? Protecting your legacy, paying as little tax as possible. Anyways, we'll also be broadcasting the event like a webinar. So this is a hybrid event. But for those who are coming in person, lunch is sponsored. So plan to stick around, allow time to stick around, and continue to network with fellow investors, real estate pros. Again, Cherry will be live and in person, and I think if you don't know, she's really popular. But first, let's dive into the Ontario rental trenches with the tireless, fearless, and occasionally a hilarious champion of small lords, Boubah, co-founder of SOLO.ca. Please enjoy the show. Welcome, Boubah. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, Boubah, for those who don't know yet, can you share your journey from small landlord to co-founder of Solo?
Yes, my name is Boubah, and I'm a small landlord owning a few property in Mississauga, townhouses, and Toronto. I came to be a landlord by accident. My neighbor was selling, and he asked me if I'm interested. I said, why not? I spoke with the wife, and we bought the property next door. So we moved into that, and instead of selling it, we decided to rent it because we're living next door. So we rented it. We have the ups and downs. And we wanted to move somewhere bigger. That was in Mississauga. So we moved into Orangeville. So instead of selling, we decided to rent again. So we rented that, and one thing leading to another. We have a small portfolio, and thanks God we never had really a bad non-paying tenant. We have some issues, but we never have really the horror story you will hear. So during the COVID time, I was on the internet like everybody else because there was nowhere to go, and we were on one of these landlord Facebook groups. I remember it clearly. It was Landlord Heaven. So everybody was complaining that the LTB has been closed, so you cannot evict anybody. I have no idea that even there was an LTB because I never have any issue. I was like most of the small landlord, just basically if they don't pay, they will have to leave. So I started learning and learning, and then I said, instead of complaining, let's do something. And this is how the journey started. And we created our own Facebook group, our own website, and we started to register as a nonprofit organization. And we realized that it was a big movement. Many people were having the same issues. And this is how the journey began. That was in the spring of 2020 in the middle of COVID.
So, Boubah, as a fellow landlord, I want to say thank you for doing something about it. Thank you, and to all the volunteers and the board of governors, directors of Solo, because I know firsthand how much you mean to a lot of people. Now, so you mentioned already what the turning point was, and that's really interesting. Like, you decided to join this fight even though you weren't hurt significantly, which is unlike most people's stories. Most people were hurt pretty badly.
Yes, yes.
Myself, I have a tenant that owes me one tenant owes me 10,000, another owes me 9,000,
Wow.
and my paralegal bill is already $2,000, and I don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, how did Solo go from an idea to now it's a province-wide organization, and the Facebook group that you mentioned is almost 9,000 people, and I
Yeah.
believe you verify everyone that they are who they say they are, as in they're at least property owner. And yeah, you tell me, how do you verify folks?
Yeah, okay. Basically, when we started, it was an open, it was more like an enthusiast volunteer. People want to do something. You always find when you start a movement, you always find like-minded people. It was easier for me because I don't have a bad tenant, so I could keep my mind focused on how to create the grassroots movement and moving it forward. So initially, we were accepting everybody. And at a certain point, we just said, you know what? Quantity is better than quality is better than quantity. So we have to find a way of vetting them. And meanwhile, we have some other volunteer who are currently board member. We said, here, one way of verify if somebody is an actual landlord is to see if that landlord has a property. So we have to have access to his property address and then verify if he actually owned it or he has owned it in the past. And again, the volunteer movement is so solid. We have a volunteer who will check every single application. We have another volunteer now, board member and the president of the board, who basically set up a platform online where people have to register and they have to be manually verified. So again, we have verified landlord because we don't want people who have no business on getting in there to infiltrate and create a chaos.
And so the website's solo.ca, SOLO.ca, for those who are interested. Now, what are the benefits of being a member? And also to highlight, there is no cost to joining.
I made that very clear from the beginning. We are here to help. Okay. The question is, what's in it for you? Basically, in any society, you always have people who wants to do something good. And if you want to do something good, usually you're going to find people who are going to be with you to do the good thing. If you want to do something bad, of course, you're going to find people who are going to help you do the thing bad. So we made it very clear. It's an organization that's here to help the other landlord, because when you go through the horror of dealing with a bad tenant, having nobody to help you out, trying to get the MPP to intervene on your favor, you talk to the neighbor, you talk to the paralegal, you call the LTV, they hang up on you or they put you on hold. You're basically alone. That's why we call ourselves solo. Unlike the big organization, that have property management, they have the screening process, they have the bank, they have their own access to literally to the LTB. So the benefit of joining us is
Well,
to
just to add to that, I know one of the big outfits in Hamilton, they have 3 paralegals on payroll.
here you go, here you go.
Full-time employees to protect you.
Exactly,
To
exactly. And
fight on your behalf.
they have less problem because they know how to screen. If you don't fit their lending criteria, basically you will never be able to get to one of the property. And what we learned through the year is what we have called now the professional tenants. They prey on a small landlord because small landlord are trusting. They are human. They are not a machine. They don't have algorithm.
Mhm.
You know, they basically think everybody's nice until they realize the hard way. So
And they
joining
don't use the single key like I insist.
most first-time small landlord have no idea what single key is.
Yeah, yeah.
Even myself, before I started solo, I have no idea there was something such thing as LTP. I know it's very strange because I never have any problem. I never have my tenant not paying. So I have no idea that you cannot ask more than last month's rent. I never asked, but to me it was counterproductive, or at least never end. So joining a group like Solo for the small landlord is to get educated, to find other people with the same mindset than you are, who are facing the same challenge. Basically, learning from other people's mistakes, not to make them. And it's free. So basically, there is no reason why not to join. And that's why we went from 0 to close to 9,000 all across. Our stats shows that not only we have landlord here in Ontario, but you have absentee landlord living as far away as in India, as in China, as in Nigeria, as in Colombia, and of course in the US and everywhere across this beautiful country.
Now the education piece is excellent. What maybe it's just my own observation. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I find most people come to you when they have a problem.
Yes, yeah, like the doctor.
That's usually how they find you, isn't it?
Yeah, and we have the only organization, as far as I know, the only land organization that has a toll-free number. Because one thing I realize is not everybody is online. Not everybody is comfortable
Right.
with writing an email. You know, it can be a challenge for some people. Some people are better expressing verbally. So we set up a toll-free number, and I'm the one who man it. So people call, and the simple fact they have somebody on the other side listening to their story, that means a lot to them. That means a lot to them.
Yeah.
And of course, we made it very clear. The phone number is there. We made it very clear. We are not lawyer. We are not paralegal. We don't give any legal advice. But hey, a simple conversation like, "Hey, I have my tenant is not paying for the last 6 months. I don't know what to do." This question I would ask him: "What are you doing about it?" "I don't know." Well, basically, you have to start a process because there is a process to evict somebody. If you don't know what you're doing, go to the website, check one of the recommended professionals, and have a free conversation. They will guide you. In the same time, you can join Solo, which is free, and you can ask your question there. That's how people come to us. And they keep calling and then calling. And when they're satisfied, most of them are, they will direct their friend, somebody who has the same issue. "Oh, by the way, call Solo. Call these people. Call these people." And the interesting thing, Erwin, is now the MPPs, when they get a constituent landlord calling them, "Oh, my application has been sitting in the LTB. What can you do for me?" They refer them to us. They refer them to us. And I think this
Even
is
though you
the
get their taxpayer money.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't receive any subsidy. We don't have any taxpayer money, and that's the most rewarding thing. We educate people. We tell them they're not alone. We try not to blame the victim. It's not saying, "Oh, you should have done this." No, this is done. The follow-up question I usually ask them: "How did you get that tenant?" "Oh, I put an ad on TGT or a marketplace." "Okay, how did you vet them?" "Well, they sent me their document and the credit report." I said, "Well, how did you verify it's them?" And then that made them think, "Oh, by the way, or usually ask them, are you sure your tenant is the one who says who he is? Do you have his ID? No, I don't have any ID. So how do you know it's him? So you make them think, so they will learn the mistake, and hopefully they won't do that. And most people are very, very thankful to that. And the solo been beyond the call of duty. We have right now a team of what you call the fraud team of solo, volunteer, unpaid. They basically walk you through how to lay charges, because as you all know, the police are not really interested in anything relating to rent theft. It's a small amount, it's an LTV, but there is a process, because rent theft or defrauding several landlord is a criminal offense that should be in the police.
It should be.
Yeah, it is in the criminal code under the fraud. Because you take a service or a product with no intention to pay for it. It's a fraud. It's a fraud, and the police are supposed to charge it. So we have a fraud team that will help you build a case and to literally force the police or even to lay your own charges. Right now, we have another team of volunteer unpaid working to stop the abuse of the bankruptcy process. People they refuse to pay rent, and when they got quote unquote the bill from the LTB of 50,000, they claim bankruptcy and they start all over again. So these are the things that we do. We used to have.
But before you go on, can you explain what happens then if the tenant has declared bankruptcy? What recourse does the landlord have?
In the past, the way the sheriff office was interpreting the Bankruptcy Act, apparently wrongly, is when you get when the landlord get an eviction order with an order to pay, let's say 20,000. Tenant must leave by September 1st and pay 30,000. So the way it works right now, if the tenant pay before eviction, he can stay. So some tenants go bankrupt. The bankruptcy wipe up the debt. Since the eviction is tied to the debt, if the debt is not there, they are arguing, well, there is no debt anymore, so basically I can stay. And some manage to to get that work. So basically they start all over again. So it's we're dealing with we're dealing with people who have no morals, who know how to use the system, and that's why education is key for our small landlord. They have to learn. That's why we ask them, you join solo, it's free, and you will learn a lot. Because it never happened to you, it doesn't mean it can. You're not smarter than other people. It can happen to anybody.
So while using your example 20,000, like while the small landlord has bad debt 20,000, it's the LTB treated it as if the debt was wiped clean.
Yes,
they're still out 20,000.
and
climbing.
And this is if they're lucky, there's no damage. This is only don't run the rent unpaid. And we used to have what they call eviction party. Because imagine when you go through the roller coaster of a non-paying tenant. I don't think people realize it's not only the money side, it's the mental toll. It's like you feel violated. It's like you feel taken advantage of. It literally drives some of the small landlord literally crazy, because you work so hard to get there, and somebody come and with the help of the system trying to destroy it. So we used to have what they call eviction party. On the day of eviction, we will come as a group of volunteers who will assist at the eviction, and we will help clean up the mess. So the tenant will realize, hey, the landlord will realize he or she is not alone. And that's give them a lot of boost, a lot of confidence, because again, solo, you're alone. Even your family member, even your relative, they think you're rich. So sometimes when you have these issues trying to explain to them, no, you have few property, you must be rich, you don't have any problem like I do.
An example of an eviction party, it was a pretty high profile case. I do a lot of business in Hamilton, so I follow Hamilton closely. There was that young lady
Yeah,
who bought a property, and she had no intention of being a landlord, but she
yeah.
bought a property with tenants
hmm
who would not leave.
Aisha.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, you know the story
it's public
well.
information. Yeah, it's public information. Yeah, she basically was brought into the group, and she's one of the most active volunteer, and we accompany her through the whole process. And you can ask her; it meant a lot. She's only the high profile, but we did that in Brampton, in Cambridge, in Guelph, in Scarborough, and in the north, in Windsor. So we have people care. People care, and as long as they find how to help their fellow landlord, they will literally help.
Now, for the listeners' benefit, Aisha's story was she purchased a property. She planned on moving in,
Mhm.
but she had to inherit the tenants,
Yeah.
and then I believe they didn't pay her.
No.
And
Mhm.
actually, if I recall correctly, I believe there was outstanding debt already. The tenants hadn't been paying. It looked like they were hoarders.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wouldn't leave,
Mhm.
even though she was moving in.
Yeah. Yeah.
LTB was delayed. I forget how long it took for her to get a hearing. Uh, and I believe she got an emergency hearing
Yeah.
because but to get it, she had to be willing to forgive 10,000 of the rent. I believe it was.
Exactly. Yeah. And she was helped because her case was high profile. The local newspaper, the Hamilton Spectator,
Yeah.
they were regularly posting that. And that's another thing where Solo is very proud of. In the past, the media has no sympathy for landlord. The headlines were always bad landlord abusing tenant. So we managed to quote unquote educate the journalists. He said, hey, this is not totally true. Yes, they are bad landlord, but actually the landlord are the victim in here.
Yeah. She's
So
living in her car.
yeah, she's living in a car.
She's homeless.
Yeah, we have
She's a
that title,
homeowner, but
homeless,
she's homeless.
homeless landlord. Yeah, homeless landlord. You have a home, but you can't live in there, and that's the most high profile case. But we have cases like that that went under the radar. So speaking about the media again, we managed to convince the media, hey, there are some stories there. This is part of the problem. Why Ontario has a housing crisis? Because you're scapegoating the landlord, you're making them like the bad guy, and you forget that the system is designed for bad actors like professional tenants to take advantage of the landlord. And here are some examples. So if you Google solo landlord on the news, you're going to see several issues that will. Another high-profile case is the case of our current chairman of the board, Kevin Costin. The tenant burned down his house while he was going through the process. Burned down his house and still couldn't get an eviction.
And he was assaulted by a
Yeah, he was
tenant.
assaulted. Oh, yeah, we got that all the time. And the thing that doesn't make the media, a lot of derogatory insults towards landlords. Because don't forget, especially in the GTA, we have a lot of newcomer people who came here not too long ago, and one of the best and the safest investment most people know is real estate. If you're a new immigrant, come a lot of money, you have a hard time getting job in your field. Sometimes you say, you know what, I'm gonna be a landlord, thinking not knowing how the system works, which is not an excuse, but again, people think exactly where people think common sense will prevail. If you're not a landlord here, would you think that a tenant, a lease has no end? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I
contract.
sign a lease for 1 year. To me, it's a 1 year. After 1 year, we have to renew it. No,
Yeah, no, not
the
here.
law is not in Ontario. Damage deposit. It's just common sense. When you go to the bank, when you go to a hotel, when you go to a rental car, they always put some money aside for rental. No, it's illegal in Ontario. So those are the or non-payment of rent. You have to go to a tribunal to non-payment of rent. Forget about everything else. He hasn't paid me. You still have to go to a tribunal with your term to get an eviction. You cannot evict somebody. So those are things that most newcomer, most first-time landlord do not know, and some of them learn the very hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Another trend that we find out is the unfortunate role of many real estate agents. They know their specialty is what? Buying and selling houses, which is $100 or $1 million value. So some of them offer as a complimentary service, they're going to find you a tenant. First of all, the OREA lease agreement is not complying with the RTA. Because if you read some of the clause there, even myself, I have to be a guarantor for somebody, and it's now I'm realizing that it was full of holes. The tenant was not allowed to have guests. If they have to put a demand deposit, if somebody comes in like their girlfriend, they have to pay more. So these are all clauses that's in the OREA. The OREA is the Ontario Real Estate Board or agency or association that create this particular standard list. So those real estate agents, they don't do the due diligence. Some of them don't do the due diligence, and they just they put an ad either on the MLS, the multi-listing system, or on their internal bulletin board. The first person that comes in, they don't do their due diligence. For instance, they take the client, the prospective tenant's credit report, which is a big no-no. They don't verify the references because everything the reference given by the tenant, the trick is to give a friend's name. So of course, when they get the commission, it becomes the landlord problem. And 3 months, 5 months, the landlord doesn't pay, and then they get into trouble and they call us. The first thing I ask you, how did you find that tenant? And they tell me, oh, my real estate agent told me. And then I start asking, okay, how did he vet? Did you tell him that he sent you a wrong product? What is he doing to help you out? And they realize basically they've been taken. Or my favorite thing when I ask them, who helped you? Oh, my friend, a real estate agent. Okay, a friend don't do that to friend.
Yeah.
He's
My
not your
first
friend.
question would be then: is that real estate is that a real estate agent a landlord? Do they have any
Yeah,
connections to the
exactly,
landlord?
exactly. Yeah, but don't get me wrong.
No, then oh boy.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. And then they realize, oh my gosh, I've been taking advantage. Or sometimes you just say, go to Canly, go to Landlord Lazy, go to Open Room, check the name. Oh my gosh, he's been once, two, three, 4 times. So yeah, it's helping landlord has been the only rewarding thing. Nobody's getting paid at solo, but I think we are helping people, making them aware. And now we are an official lobby group with the Integrity Commissioner. So we talk to the big shot. We met the Premier twice or 3 times. We met the Minister of Housing, the Minister of Finance, the high-ranking official. But what we learned is we are fighting, we as a small landlord group, we are fighting an uphill battle. There are more tenants, voter than landlord. And the tenants are well organized, and most of the organization is taxpayer funded.
And they're
And
very angry.
the narrative is the housing crisis is due to the fact that landlords are greedy, and some of the landlords are not helping by floating the rule, putting 7 people in 1 or 2 bedrooms, or asking damage deposit, or asking 1 year in advance, or discriminating. And so we try to educate the decision maker to make a big difference. Like don't throw everything in the same basket. the harder you make in Ontario to be a landlord, the people who are going to suffer the most will be the tenant, because people would rather leave the business, invest elsewhere, or they will leave the property empty, like I did for almost 9 months. I had a condo in North York. My son was ready to go to university, and knowing what I know back then, I realized that if I rent to somebody and they refuse to leave, I'm in big trouble. So I
They're almost
literally,
homeless.
yeah, exactly. So I said, I'm gonna wait until my son goes to university. If he chooses a university in the area, then he will take that place. If he doesn't, then I can rent it. So luckily for
So you
him,
willingly left it vacant for 9 months
for 9 months, yeah, for 9 months, yeah.
to avoid non-payment risk,
No, it's not
non-payment.
non-payment. Like I know now by law, the tenant doesn't have to leave even you wanna take your property back. That happened a lot. People get a posting in the US or in the Far East.
Right.
They have the house here. Okay, I'm gonna rent it. Come back. I want my house. No.
Yeah, that's Wei King's story, right?
So that happened a lot, and you see people. I didn't. Yeah. Okay. So
Right. So
yeah.
you
So we try to
you
educate
forewent
the decision maker. We
you
have to educate.
forewent over $20,000 worth of rent.
Yes, I forgot. I forgot. Yeah, man. I was in a
sorry
position.
for sorry for rehashing old wounds.
No, 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 but I was in a position kind of a risk. You can be greedy. Sometimes that's happen, or you can assess the risk. So it's a balance. Like I was lucky. I was prepared financially to be in that position. You did the math. I can get maybe what you said, 20,000. But hey,
Some are probably much higher. A condo in one bedroom condo in North York. It's gonna
not
be
only
over two
that,
thousand a month.
but not only that, but I could lose even more. I can hire somebody who refuses to rent, and then the headache
Yeah.
going to the tribunal. So okay, risk versus reward. Yeah. So, and at a certain point, my wife, she wanted really to exit the market because of hearing all these horror stories. So I said, you know what?
She's joined your
let's
Facebook group, is she?
try something else. So we tried an Airbnb, and my wife, she loved it. She loved it because at Airbnb she has control. It was very well. She can book, she can block it at a certain point, and she's very good with hospitality, and it was working well. We have one of few issues, but at the end of the day, the money was good, and the control, and she loved it. More work, more work, because every time somebody gets in. It was in Mississauga. One day we received a letter saying, okay, well, there's a new bylaw. We're going to restrict how Airbnb going to be done in Mississauga. So they basically shut it down.
Oh, they targeted you.
No, not me. Like they sent to all the Airbnb, and they voted a bylaw where
got it.
it's happened to almost every municipality in Ontario. Everyone is following the other one.
Yeah.
Basically, they make so many conditions that it's almost impossible to be an Airbnb operator, independent operator. And that was based on the tenants group lobbying, blaming Airbnb on the housing crisis. So no, people are not, they are going to the short term. Of course they're going to go to the short term because the long term is too risky. So you're going to shut them down, and we're going to make them difficult to be an Airbnb host. And they shut that down. So that doesn't solve the problem, because people don't want to be landlord in Ontario. It's too risky. The one who wants to do, either they have deep pocket, that's the big corporation. Those people, they have very, very strict vetting. So they think they can withhold for a long time for waiting for a hearing. While if you take a small landlord, we always give that example. If you're a big corporate landlord, you have thousands of doors, and 2 or 3 people do not pay, well, you can wait the 7, 8, 9 months to get the eviction, right?
Yeah.
If you're a
And that's
small
cash flow
landlord,
sensitive.
yeah, if you're a small landlord, you have a duplex. One doesn't pay, that's 50% is gone. If you're renting your basement to supplement your mortgage payment, 100% of your money is gone.
Mhm.
And that's basically the small landlords are the most vulnerable, and they're the one offering chances to people who are vulnerable. For instance, a small landlord, he puts an ad on Kijiji. He wouldn't do the full background check like a big corporation will do. Some small landlords don't even know how to read a credit check, how to get a credit check. They have never heard about, a Canly or Open Room or Landlord Easy. So they are the one
Sorry,
who
for listeners' benefit, can you explain what Canly and Open Room are?
Canly, Open Room, and Landlord Easy are a database where they are supposed to, where people can go and search past LTB, Landlord and Tenant Board hearing. So if there's a decision made, the decision become public, and the Landlord and Tenant Board was supposed to send it to a database called Canly, CANLII.org, which is a repository of all the judicial decision in Canada. But the LTB refused to send the decision because they don't quote unquote want to shame the the non-paying tenant. So we have two private corporations that create their own database and encourage everybody, all the landlord, wants to get to their when they get to their decision, they can upload it there and it's searchable. So coming back to the small landlord are the one giving chance to newcomer, to people who have a low credit, people who are on welfare or on a social assistance. If you're on a welfare and you apply for the big corporation, you won't pass. Period. They won't get it because they have an algorithm. We have to apply. They have to run the credit check to make sure that you meet the income criteria. You have to have. I mean, you name it. What a small landlord will give you that chance. And according to Stats Canada, close to 58% of housing in Ontario is done by small mom and pop landlord. So we keep telling that to the decision maker from the premier. Actually, speaking about the premier, we gave him Kevin's book, From Rent to Ruin. It's right on our website. If you Google it, SOLO.ca, Rob for Doug Ford, Rent to Ruin. You'll see the picture.
Did
So
did anyone share Kevin's story? Was Kevin there to share his story?
no, I gave it the book. It was, a public event. So basically, you just gave it to him and said, you know what, have somebody read it. You don't have the time, but have somebody read it too. And you'll explain why you have a housing crisis in Ontario.
Because after anyone who's heard Kevin's story will definitely have second thoughts about being a landlord in Ontario.
Yes, and it's very classic. It's very classic. You go into the business, yes, to make money, but again to help other people. You want to be a good landlord. You bend backward, forward to accommodate, and then you end up
He's
with
renting out his
somebody
old
who,
home.
yeah,
It's obviously a
exactly,
nice property. He used to live there.
yeah, exactly. It's the tenant's home. So this is one of our biggest hurdle. Trying to convince the decision maker that it's not they're not helping who they are supposed to help because they're making it difficult for small landlord. We had so we managed to get some headway. For instance, thanks to us, the law has been changed. Now you can get small modification of application. They're going to get rejected because in the past, if you apply for eviction and you make a small mistake on the application, let's say instead you forgot the word basement or instead of road you put crescent or whatever, they would reject it. You have waited for 4, 5, 6 months to get your hearing and it gets rejected. So now the RT has been changed to make sure that the adjudicator has the authority to make minor changes. Right now, the biggest fight we have is the so-called renovation bylaws. It started in Hamilton, and now it's in Toronto. It's started like early this month. So basically, the RTA is very clear. If the RTA is the Residential Tenant Act, that's the law that governs the landlord and tenants in Ontario. If you want to get if you want to make some repair in the property, you have to give the tenant 1 month compensation. And if he doesn't agree to leave, you have to apply with a specific form at the LTB, and you have to give them option to come back. And if you lie or you did a bad fair renovation, in the law there is a penalty up to 100,000 per corporation. So there's a big deterrent there. And guess what? What the municipality did? Hamilton started. Oh no, because there was a campaign. Oh yeah, now the landlords are pretending to do renovations, or they want to kick the long-term tenant who are paying low rent. So we need to make a stop on that. So we are contacted. We say, you know what? The law is very clear. Just apply the law. No, they listen to the to the tenants group. They say they are going to do a bylaw. The bylaw basically makes another hurdle. If you want to do any renovation, you need to apply to the city, and then you have to have an engineer, and then you have to have this, you have to that. In Toronto, it's even worse. You have to apply $700 to renovate your property.
To apply to
And
renovate.
then you have to pay for the tenant to live somewhere while you're doing. Like you have to have an engineer. The big corporation can do that. Which small landlord in hell is going to do that?
Right. Just for the listeners' benefit, I want to throw some numbers behind it. Say, for example, the tenant has a 2-bedroom and they're paying just making up numbers. Say they're paying $1,800. So the landlord is now responsible for rehoming them in something comparable at the same price. And if it's not the same price, they have to compensate. They have to cover the difference. So market rent for a 2-bedroom could be $2,800. Right, so for every month the tenant's displaced, the landlord has to come out of pocket $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right. Say it's supposed to be a 6-month renovation, and we all know renovations are never on time. You don't know how long until you can stop paying that $1,000 per month.
And then they have the right to come back at the same price.
And the tenant has the right to come back, at the old rent.
So it's it won't work. It won't work. It's going to make things a lot difficult. You're going to see people leaving the house in despair. And yes, there were some cases where some landlord lied and said, I'm going to renovate. So when the tenant left, they rented at a higher price. Just apply the law. Mm-hmm. Apply the law. Have the tenant, apply, and then he's going to hit with a big fine. Why? Right. Take over something that's not in your jurisdiction. Landlord and tenant issue is a provincial, it's not a municipal. So I'm sure there were some organization who will try to fight it, but this is not going to work.
I have another very unpopular opinion is I don't think CMHC should financially reward landlords to do that. Right.
CMHC is a little bit different. They are there for financing, right?
Oh, I know, but once you take the renovation example, mm-hmm. Once you've evicted the tenant for low-paying rent, you renovate, you raise the rent by $1,000, mm-hmm. Apply your cap rate. You now have a new valuation, which CMHC will use to underwrite your property and allow you a higher valuation.
Yeah.
So that's how the landlord is financially rewarded to do this.
Yes, but the tenants still have the right to come back at the old price. Which
my point is, if the government entity, the CMHC, does not provide the financial incentive to renovate, mm-hmm. then we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, I kind of have a different take on that because you have to encourage people to take care of the property. You have to house people. You don't want to have slums in Ontario. You don't have.
Oh no, I'm all for that too. Just don't have rent control.
Yeah, right? Yeah. The devil will be in the detail. Another big thing that we did was protest. It was more like a social setting, and we have several protests. We have protests in front of the LTB. In Grover's North, downtown Toronto, at Queen's Park 3 times. We have a protest in Mississauga. They have an office in there. And it was well covered. If you Google again, protest solo landlord, you will see that, it was not only well attended, but well organized. The we drawing down a little bit from protest away from it and then going into more like on the lobbying. But we don't exclude to do some of the protests. And the protest was well attended, and people understood. Hey, I'm a tenant. I'm paying my rent on time. You telling me somebody's not paying and getting away with it? He's the one. He's the problem. Why I'm getting trouble getting, a place to live for next time. So, and then the nature of the multiculturalism in GTA, we have different, ethnic landlord association. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, different ethnic landlord organization that join us. The Chinese landlord association was very very helpful in attending on the protest, and we did have even an interesting case where we assist. We weren't the party involved. We assist a small landlord to sue the LTB. Her story is very simple. She rented a place. She wanted to come back because her daughter has autism and she needed a place, and the tenant said he's not living. She applied for eviction. She was denied the first time on technicality, and then she became herself homeless with her daughter. So she managed to sue the LTB. Her name is Elsie. It's a public information. ELSI. You can read ALC Landlord LTD. If you Google that, you may sure see it. LC ELSIE Landlord or LTB. Yeah, yeah, sure. LC Cadu. Yeah. So the lawsuit is now, yeah, that's exactly. And he was ultimately dismissed, but again, the message was very clear. The message was the government can do whatever they want.
And they have taxpayer money to defend themselves.
They are, yeah, they have they have money, like they are using our money to fight us. And but the message was very clear because it attracted a lot of media attention. And the interesting thing is the argument the lawyer for LC used was forced expropriation. Okay, technically I own the house, but I don't own the house. I don't have control of my house. So you should compensate me for the fact that I cannot access to my house. And I don't know. I read the whole decision, but again, some of the judges they always look at who is the strongest, because if they allow, they're going to be automatic appeal from the government. So most don't want to do that. But again, according to the law and the ruling, it's perfectly legal to prevent a landlord to control their own house, which is very unfortunate, and it gives another level of uncertainty, another level of risk. Being a landlord in Ontario is one of the highest financial risk, because you don't control, you have no control when it's going to be paying or not. And then we have our online discussion groups. Most of them are, vetted. We have on WhatsApp and Facebook, where people, ask question and they get help.
Now, let's take a question from social media. Rosemarie asks, what is the current wait time for the Landlord Tenant Board for applications? And for those who know, is for application for to end tenancy for non-payment of rent.
Informally, it is a quote-unquote improvement, and if you apply now for eviction based on non-payment, you should be able to get a hearing within 3 to 4 months, which is still a lot, in our opinion. We try to convince the government to remove the non-payment of rent on the automatic hearing. There's nothing to discuss when there's non-payment of rent. There's no need to have a hearing. If the tenant doesn't pay, he doesn't pay. Why conduct a hearing on that? if it's uncontested on both sides, then make a ruling saying, hey, okay, you haven't paid. According to the law, you must pay, and you have X day to pay or leave. That can be done without a hearing, because hearing is a waste of time. 80% of the application are for non-payment of rent. So if you remove them from the queue, then you will have a more streamlined.
Now, an add-on question to that would be, so an add-on to the same question, current wait time. What would be the expected time for you to get resolution to a non-paying tenant?
If you're dealing with, if you're dealing with a straight case where the tenant is genuinely honest, which is the rare case, you can get a hearing within 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
And after the hearing, they have up to 2 months to make the decision. So usually they are pretty good on that.
2 months to make a decision that
they're
not paying.
Yeah.
Well, that's good proof that you're not paying. We're gonna have to think about it for 2 more months.
That's right there. They tell us don't bother to call us until 2 months pass. The evidence is there. He hasn't paid. He's not disputing it.
Okay.
But you still have to wait up to 2 months. So,
right. So
but
social housing for 2 months.
Exactly.
Got it.
And once you get the decision, there is a date where the tenant has to pay the arrear. So usually they give them another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So now you're getting into the 6 months, or a month, depending if they have kids. I'm gonna say at the end of the school or whatever. So that's up to the adjudicator. So then you have another 4 to 6 week, wait. And after that, if they still don't leave, you have to go to a sheriff. That's another wait. And depending on where you are, for instance, in Brampton, in the Peel region, Brampton, Mississauga, and Caledon, the wait time can be up to 2.5 months.
All right, so we're looking at like 8 to 11 months now.
8 to 11 months, yeah. And that's if you're dealing with a straight case. Now, if you have what they call the professional tenant know how the tricks works, once the first hearing, they can delay it. Oh, I haven't received it. The dog ate my my convocation, and or if you're unlucky, because the LTB is playing a number game here by trying to reduce the wait time, they book as many hearing on the same day. Let's say on the same day they have 50 hearing, 50 cases. So if your cases doesn't go that day, let's say one case take longer than that because the tenant is bringing a related issue or doesn't know what to do. At the end of the day, any case that hasn't been heard gonna be adjourned. So there's a risk on that. And another risk is even once they received the eviction order, the eviction order can be appealed. Once you appeal it, it automatically put a stay on the whole process. So you have to wait until you can appeal to the LTB, say, hey, Mr. LTB, you made a decision. Can you look at it again? And the LTB most like 99% going to say, you know what, our decision stand. And then you go to the Superior Court.
Oh my.
The LTB is wrong. Yes. You can appeal at the first level at the LTB. You can ask for, a review.
For something as simple as non-payment of rent?
Oh, yes. Oh. So they use that as a tactic. They won't win most of the time, but it's a way of staying free. And we have documented cases of professional tenant who did that too. Not only 4 or 5, they meet 7, 8. They know exactly what they're doing. So they drag the process for 18 months, rent free, and they apply to the next one, the next unsuspecting landlord, and who doesn't know more, and they stay another 9 months to 10 months. So we propose to the LTB, because in the past we used to have a regular meeting with them. We say, you know what? Personally, I'm in the law enforcement. So what happened is when you have a suspect in front of you, the first thing you do, like every organization does that, you check his background. If somebody has been evicted before, there's no reason to put him on the queue. Because you're encouraging, he knows, by being put on the queue, he can leave rent free. Put him ahead of the line to discourage bad behavior. But no, they are not doing that. So it's an uphill battle. So that's why Solo won't give up. And we have, thanks God, fantastic volunteers who are really seeing this as an injustice, and they are putting their time, their money, and their effort to make the changes.
Solo is actually being rewarded in the media. I just Googled solo landlords, and I can't recall a grassroots organization getting this much media attention. How often, actually, this is a question from Rose as well, from Rosemarie. How regularly does Solo get media interview requests?
Very regularly now, because we managed to be a credible organization, and now every time there's a housing issue, we got the calls from local media, including the mainstream media like the CBC, Global, City TV, CTV, Globe and Mail. The only one that's a little bit wary is the Toronto Star. I had a good, long, almost 1.5 hour conversation with one of their housing reporter, and maybe she didn't like to show the other side that tenant are not always the good guy,
I'm
and
not
they
really
refused
surprised,
to do.
honestly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, so we get at least once every 2 to 3 weeks. And the radio, we have one of our board member who is a regular contributor to CFRB 1010 or AM 640, I think, where he
For
regularly.
Varun?
Yeah, he's in the Verdun Scandal. So yeah, I'm the French speaking person. French is my first language, and the French media always call to get our take on that. It's called Radio Canada. It's the equivalent of the CBC, but on the French side. So yeah, I
And they're
mean,
interested in Ontario?
I think right now.
And they're interested in Ontario landlord
Oh
affairs?
yeah, there is a CBC French in Ontario, and another fun fact is Northern Ontario is at least 30 to 40% French. And you talk about the French settler who came like in the 1700. A little bit of history. All this region used to be part of New France. It was sold during the Louisiana Purchase, and when there was some war in Europe, and you get changed. If you go to Sudbury, if you go to Hearst, or in the northern part, you're gonna see a long presence of French. So there is a radio. There are French radio. There are French TV, solely for Ontario, nothing to do with Quebec.
I'll take another question from social media. Sherry, who's awesome. She asks, "What do you see for the future of private landlords given the changing legislation catering to special interest tenant groups?"
Well, I
Add to that as well. Like you
Mhm.
mentioned, you have a son. Like, what do you tell your kids about being a real estate investor in Ontario?
I don't know about the other youth, but when you're youth, you're naive, and most of the youth are tenant, and they have this left-wing mentality. Actually, they agree that that landlords are bad. That landlords are
Sorry, are you
exploiting.
seeing this with your kids or
Are,
something?
expo- are exploiting. I'm gonna give them some more years. We're not gonna be a little bit more mature. They are very idealistic. They think housing should be almost free, which will help the other thing. But speaking about the future of landlord, I think it's still good. The reason why people are not leaving in drove like you will expect is real estate is still a good investment. It's something that is consistent. It's something that very practical. It's something that you see. You can buy a stock on the stock market or an EFT or a crypto, but this is intangible. But seeing something physical that you own, it's something a little bit different. And let's face it, anybody who bought prior to 2021, anybody who bought a property in Ontario prior to 2021 is laughing. Made a huge, huge, huge increase in value. And some use that as a leverage to get it. So right now the prices are crumbling down, and the one who are suffering the most are the one who bought at the peak, 2021, 2022. And we all know what happened. Quantitative easing, bringing money in the market, interest rates shut up, and people can't keep it up. So with a basic common sense screening method, you still can make money into this business. And if you look at the geopolitical in the world, Canada is still a safe haven. We may complain a lot, people complain a lot, but it's still a good place to live and raise a family. We have 100,000 people who are coming here every year. We have millions who love to come in here, and they need to be some places else. And you look at Ontario, it's the engine of growth for the whole country. GTA and Southern Ontario has a big industrial base, so this is where the jobs are. People will still gonna come in here, and somebody who is overseas who are looking for a safe place to park their money in investment. Buying real estate has always been something that works, because, as I said, they're not making land anymore. So I'm optimistic. I think it's a good profitable business. But you have to but it's not a risk-free. You still have to know exactly. That's why I encourage people to join Solo. Again, it's free, where they can learn from other people's mistakes. And you only heard about the bad news. As I told you, I never have a non-paying tenant. I have a few that were asking, a few days. But you only heard about the bad news. So you may think that everybody's having the same issue. No, most of the landlords are not having tenant issue.
Boubah, I just mentioned how I googled solo landlord and clicked on news, and it's only bad news.
What do you expect from the media? What do you expect from the media? You know the
Land
saying,
for
eh?
70,000.
You know the saying, eh? When the plane lands on time, it's not news. When the plane crashes, it's a front news. Yeah.
At least that's rare. I think the stat is I think around 1 in a million. 1 in a million flights don't make it safe.
Yeah, exactly. But
I don't think we're at those kind of stats for
yeah,
landlords in Ontario.
that's true. Yeah. Another thing we try to make understand the decision maker is to compare with other jurisdiction. I don't know if you're aware, but Ontario is the only jurisdiction, as far as I know, in North America, where non-payment of rent somebody can stay in a place with no non-payment of rent. In BC, in Quebec, which are the most tenant-friendly jurisdiction after Ontario, if you don't pay your rent, that's the eviction cannot take more than 60 days.
That's still a long time.
Yeah, that's still a long time. So, and the one we love the most is Alberta. First of all, the lease has an end. At the end of your lease, if one part doesn't agree, it ends. You have the right to have a damage deposit, reasonable damage deposit, and non-payment of rent. It's direct to the sheriff.
And that's
And
why my clients and I now invest in the States.
yeah, here we
Almost
go.
every state.
And the state, oh yeah, I heard that a lot. Oh, the state is better. The state is better. I kind of, you have to nuance there. The state is like in Ontario, like in Canada.
It's a big place.
It's depending on the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
The blue states are very tenant
We
friendly.
don't go there. The
The
numbers
big
blow up.
cities,
The numbers blow up when you go to a blue state.
the big cities like the New York, Los Angeles, man, it's a nightmare to be a landlord. But some jurisdictions are very landlord friendly. I'm sure you know it better than I. Texas, for instance, Florida, for instance. But again, it depends where you go. But
My clients and I are doing a lot in Texas, Georgia, North
yeah,
Carolina,
yeah, those are the
Missouri,
very
all red states.
Mm.
Yeah, it's actually again funny. If anyone wants to know how popular you guys are, again, just search solo landlord. Click on news. I just found a money.ca article. I didn't know about this one. Oh, actually, they're linking to a global a global article. So I have read this one before.
Okay,
You guys are
okay.
really popular.
Yes, 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 yes. Which is good because it gives people some visibility. And this is the segment of the investor that not really looked after. It's small landlord. They're really a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, okay. I know this
It's,
case too. Yeah, 4 years. 4 years.
it's people that 4 years. This is 4
Yes,
years.
4 years. Yeah, yeah. It's a condo, a
I remember.
luxury
Okay, I
condo.
remember this one. I remember this
Yeah, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, yeah,
one. Yeah. 55,000 he's owed. I thought the number was higher.
yeah. And that's only non-payment of rent. What about
Utilities.
the damage? The damage, and you have to go after the person. Another thing we try to fight, not to fight, to try to let them understand, because we get approached by social services. Hey, we can supply you some tenant. We're gonna pay for you're gonna pay the rent. Okay, that's a good that's apparently good thing. They're gonna pay me. So they send you the tenant, and the tenant doesn't pay, and you come back to them. Hey, you sent me this tenant, it's not working. Oh no, you have to go to the LTB. So the next time a social service approach a small landlord, they're not want to do it anywhere. They went one step beyond those social services by offering a interest-free loan to improve or to renovate your property so you can rent to one of their clients. We have one of our solo landlord who did that. She got a 50,000 a loan to renovate her basement with the condition that she has to rent to what they call low income rate, which is still something that she can make money off it. She got that tenant referred to her by social services. And of course, you imagine the rest. Tenant didn't pay, destroyed the property, took 2 years to get her out. And at the end, she was out $180,000. So imagine the next person who comes from social assistant applying for renting. It's illegal. It's illegal to discriminate based on income. But if somebody's on social assistant, even if you get the ruling, you cannot collect the money. So draw your own conclusion.
So, Boubah, my conclusion is I used to work in software. In software design, we're always trying to solve the root cause of the problem.
Yes.
To me, again, unpopular opinion, to me, the root cause of an Ontario landlord's problem is that the property is located in Ontario.
But people have to live somewhere.
Oh yeah, but I'm not a tenant in my home.
Yeah, yeah.
So for my own journey, I've since sold 5 properties in the last 2 years locally, and since I bought a house in San Antonio, Texas, and I've told all my clients as well over the last 2 years or so, don't add here. Definitely don't add anything
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
You have to look at what's available in the States. It's just
yeah.
the investment.
It's too
The
risky.
investment is just much better.
No, that's the conclusion. Everybody's coming into that. And what I noticed when we assist a small landlord through his horrible journey to getting rid of a tenant, at the end of the day, I'm no longer going to be a landlord in Ontario ever.
Yeah.
I'm selling out everything. We have a survey in our Facebook group every month. We put on that, how many pay on time, how many hadn't paid, how many are, and you always have 7 to 8%. I'm no longer going to be in Ontario tenant here. Sorry, I don't want to be a landlord here. The law is bad. The root cause, as you said, is the law. If there is a guarantee that within 60 days maximum, even 60 days too long, 30 days, you can have a resolution of non-payment of rent particularly, people are willing to take a risk. Even all these at the federal level and the provincial level, they are pumping a lot of money in terms of affordable housing. They are giving interest-free loan. They are easing the thing, but it's still not picking up because it's still risky. Even the big corporation who have more resources than the small one, they are keep saying that things have to change. And we proposed to the LTB and the Ministry of Solicitor General, said, you know what, make an automatic payment. Uncontested, non-payment, uncontested, shouldn't go to hearing. You can do a paper review, everybody's agree, have an adjudicator sign it up. But it didn't go through.
Well, but we're running out of time, but I want to
Yeah.
shout out Barbara Jean, also from social media. Change needs to happen. Solo is the only hope to organize and make LTB accountable or change their mission statement. I don't know if anyone can change this LTB's mission statement.
Actually, I don't blame too much the LTB. The LTB has to follow the law, the RTA Residential Tenant Act. So we did hold the LTB accountable because we have direct access to. We used to have direct access to them and bringing them on some of the issue that needed immediate attention. And we work with the ombudsman, who made a scathing report last year, thanks to us, because we bring him the ammunition to show that the LTB is not working. And right now, and this is still a work in progress, we're working with another government entity, and most likely next year, there's going to be another report to show that these things is not working. Yeah. And of course, we do the lobbying, we do the education. So yeah, it's we're trying to do, but let's not forget the other side. We have the tenant group that are even more organized. They have more voices, they have more access than we are. Yeah. So yeah, we try. We're gonna keep trying. We're not gonna give up.
What has been the result of the ombudsman?
Well, the ombudsman has a moral issue, has a moral authority, so they can't tell people, tell ministry to do this, to do that. So when the report came in, you can Google on our website. He was very scathing. So the government response was always, "We're gonna put more money. We're gonna put more money. We're gonna hire more educators." No, that's not the issue. The issue is you have to get rid of automatic hearing for non-payment of rent. That will solve 90. Yeah, this 80% of the cases were based on our input. And we're working again with another body that even have more power. Hopefully by next year we're gonna get something on it. Yeah, we do a lot of things in the background, and we can't disclose everything, but yeah, the report is giving.
4,000 complaints from both sides, from both landlords and
Nobody's
tenants.
happy. Yeah, another interesting thing before we get off. We have Solo has a relationship with a tenant group. Acto.com, for instance, Facto, we meet, we speak, we talk, and there are things that we agree. Acto, 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 it's ACTO.
Yeah, I know ACTO. Yeah.
Okay, ACTO, Acto, Advocacy Center for Tenant Ontario, yeah. And they are taxpayer funded. So we have a regular conversation, and I think we agree that the LTB is not working for anybody.
Even they don't have good Google reviews. 2.7.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. But
their mandate
for tenants. Their mandate is to protect the tenant, and the tenant who need protection are usually the one who are not following the law. I'm not saying that landlords are good, but most of the landlords have no interest of mistreating their tenant. You don't mistreat your client. I don't know. I will go beyond my call of duty to make sure that the tenant works well. The one who are trying to take advantage of the tenant, they won't last long in business because what you always get what you always reap what you sow. Because if you are bad towards your tenants, the tenant most likely will either leave or he will do it. He will try to screw you, and you have to keep the tenants are our clients, so you have to keep your client happy and reasonable. Now, if you end up with a criminal or a tenant who doesn't want to abide by the rule, you have to have a way through the LTB to get a quick resolution, which is not happening right now.
So just so you know, where we invest in the States, there is no such thing as an LTB or anything like it.
I'm telling
Just
you,
go to
it's,
regular court.
it's it's a regular call. Yeah, I know, but
Like you
these
said, we
are
already have a law. We already have the law. This is theft. And,
yes, yes.
and like in
Actually,
Kevin, back to Kevin Costain, he was assaulted by his tenant, and he
yes,
received no justice,
not just
no
this.
protection, no bodily rights.
Yeah, and Erwin, you know what we always say? If you go to the supermarket, you steal food, you're gonna get arrested. If you go to the gas station and you don't pay your gas, you're gonna be arrested. But you can steal rent, and it's not considered as a.
Yep.
I can go on and on and
And the
on.
landlord is still required to provide service.
Yes, is that called adding insult to injury? Yeah, yeah.
And my own story is like I mentioned, I have one tenant owes me 10,000, another owes me 9.
Mhm.
Both of their properties had issues with the air conditioner, so that cost me another 6,000 plus to deal with their air
To
conditioner
deal with
problem.
that.
Okay, we're over time. Boubah, thank you so much.
Okay.
SOLO.ca. Thank you so much, Boubah. All right, friends, that wraps up another episode of the Truth About Real Estate Investing show for Canadians. Hope you got as much out of this one as I did. Remember that whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, there's always something new to learn, and it's always about building that practical knowledge base that gets you closer to financial freedom. If you found value today, please do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating, share this episode with a friend, or better yet, join our community of real estate investors who are taking action and making moves. And hey, if there's a topic you want us to cover, or there's a certain guest you'd like us to have on the show, drop me a line. My DMs are open on social media. Reply to this email that this have arrived on. I'm not hard to find. You know, we're all about getting you the unfiltered truth to help you on your journey. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay smart, stay curious, and keep building that future. Catch you later.